morning, guys, and welcome to episode 97 of Costa Rica Real Estate and Investments with me, your host, Richard Beckson. Today, Costa Rica is a very wet, it's a very wet day here in Costa Rica. We have that tropical storm sitting out there in the Atlantic. As normal, it just kind of gives us a bit of rain here, but I was hoping to go up to the highland areas here, but I think I'll just stay in over the weekend just because, again, it's a little bit rainy here. Feels very much like England, so it's nice to be home. I've got a cup of tea. And I'm doing this podcast. So today we're going to be talking with Anastasia McCulloch. Anastasia, a longtime resident of Costa Rica, originally from the US. She moved here over 10 years ago and has since married a Costa Rican, Giancarlo, and had a family down here as well. She's got a young son called Leo. So we're going to be talking to her about what life is like living in Costa Rica, and specifically Guanacaste. She was in the Central Valley for many years and then moved to Playas del Coco, lives up there with her family. I thought I know a lot of you are looking to relocate to the northern parts of Guanacaste. So I thought I'd get her on the podcast and just get a bit of her advice and opinions on living up there at the beach as well. Remember, guys, if you enjoy this podcast, please feel free to give us a review, thumbs up, 5 stars, and so we can continue to get all of this great content out there to you. And remember, if you need any help investing in Costa Rica, relocating, you can contact us, info@investingcostarica.com. That's info@investingcostarica.com. But enough about that. I'm sure that you guys want to get straight into the podcast with Anastasia. So let's get it started. Good morning, Anastasia. How are you doing?
Good morning. I'm very well, Richard. How are you?
Very, very good. How's the weather up there in Playas del Coco today?
A little cloudy today. We got that storm that's supposed to be rolling in, but so far, I mean, it's still a beautiful day. I can't complain.
That's very true. Very, very true. Yeah, it's raining here in the Central Valley at the moment, but when I drove down yesterday, I was down in Uvita or Hochao area down there because I'm developing some land. It was like sunny here, and then I don't know how I got past Mount Antonio and it got cloudy and then just got a little bit rainy. So yeah.
Yep. It was beautiful here yesterday. Everybody was like, how could there even be a storm coming? Like, it's gorgeous out there. And it's like, yeah, it's brewing somewhere. But yeah, we've had some really nice weather up here. It is still a little more rainy than it usually is at this time of year with the veranillo that comes through. But hopefully that means that it'll extend longer into August and we'll get some really nice weather.
Yeah, I think one of the misconceptions, a lot of people talk about the rainy season just in Costa Rica, but I think it's like it's beautiful mornings and usually like you'll maybe get an hour or two in the afternoon and it kind of clears up.
Right. It's so beautiful in the morning that you're like, there's no way it could rain today. Yeah. And so you walk without your umbrella and then it dumps for 2 hours. And then sure enough, the rain comes through. But yeah,
it's nice because it gets a little humid beforehand and then it brings the temperature down. So, beautiful. Well, anyway, Anastasia, you've been in Costa Rica for quite a while now. How many years is it?
13.
Wow. And it's been a crazy couple of last years, of course. I mean, I'm sure during those 13 years it's been crazy, but the last has really been crazy. But I mean, the last 6 months, I mean, what trends have you seen, and what trends do you think are here to stay?
In terms of
anything,
travel trends?
Travel, people coming. What are you seeing?
I mean, people are definitely flocking down here more than they have been in previous years. I feel like when I first came here, it was in 2009, and that was after the whole financial crisis and things going down in the United States. And so it was kind of a weird, uncertain time then. And then it was like the good years, it was like we had these blossoming years and lots of construction and new things going on. And then with COVID, everything slowed way down, but it was kind of a nice pause. And I had a new baby at that time and everything. So I got to kind of step away from work and have a little more of that little blessing in my life. But now it seems like things are really ramping up again. There's a lot of construction going on out here in Guanacaste. San Jose has a ton of construction going on, new big buildings, and this whole new sweep to like Airbnb. I think that's really been a game changer in terms of how people are investing in the country and how people are traveling in the country. So it's cool, but there are definitely higher prices. I mean, things have really gone up quite a bit here in the past 6 months. But it's a desirable place to be. Like, true. People want to be in an area where they feel free to do what they want to do, where they feel like their kids can be safe and have, healthy activities outdoors, healthy food, all those things. So Yeah, no, it's exciting out here, but there have definitely been many, many more people, obviously, than there were during COVID at this time.
Yeah.
But
I mean, if someone was looking to relocate to Costa Rica, because I mean, I think I'm starting to see a huge move towards that. A lot of people are like, look, I want to get out of Dodge, whether that's from a political situation or just where they are or like the future, etc. I mean, what advice would you give to them? And then also, what do you think would be their biggest shock when they moved here?
okay, good questions. So the advice that I would give is come down and try it first, maybe come down and do like a long-term rental. It depends on everybody's individual situation of if they have kids, if they have school, if they, I mean, like, if you don't have those things, or if your kids are cool with, traveling around a bit, like I would say definitely come down, do it for a year. And then decide if it's a lifestyle that you really want. Cause I feel like by a year,
Yep.
if you can hang or if this really isn't for you, and then you've got an out and you can go back. But I feel like other little things that you should do is like get on Facebook groups. I feel like expat groups are super useful. You can connect with people, internations, just doing all sorts of research before you come is usually really helpful. But then once you're here, like that's where you can do more of that nitty gritty, like as far as buying a car or like looking for something that is a long-term rental or potential to buy. Once you're here, it's easier than doing all of those things from abroad.
Yeah, no, definitely.
And that way you don't have to worry about getting a bank account. You don't have to worry about doing some of these other kind of tedious things that, like, I still don't have a Costa Rican bank account.
Wow.
I do.
And you don't need it. You don't need it.
I don't need it. Yeah, I don't need it. And it's a hassle and there are long lines and everything else. So I feel like once you're going to be down here, if you are going to purchase and you are going to make it a long-term thing, then yes. But I married a Costa Rican. So as soon as we get into buying property, like we've got his bank accounts and so forth, that we can do all of those things.
There you go. Put the work on Giancarlo, right?
Yeah. I mean, I do the US stuff. He does the Costa Rican stuff. But then as far as things that will surprise you, I think that just slowing down, like the overall pace of life, people are really shocked at like how long it takes at a restaurant here. And it's like, well, yeah, they went back there and they prepared your food. Like they literally took it and cut it and peeled it and took their time to prep it. And it tastes amazing and it's really good food, but it's not what people are used to. The grocery stores and things, like the carts are all over the place. People are a little disorganized, whereas in the US it's like you have this nice big aisle and everybody stays on their side and just little things like that. But I feel like life at the beach, one of the things that surprised my parents, I'm trying to get them down here, is how for sunset everybody stops what they're doing and everybody goes outside and they go to the beach or they get up on their rooftop, and you can see people just like everywhere. And it's like, that is the time when you just totally disengage with whatever it is that you're doing and you go out and you appreciate the afternoon. It's so lovely. And I feel like they have that during the day. There's like morning snack and then there's coffee in the afternoon where everybody gets together. It is, but it's some of those things that are like surprising, but they're so nice and just a great reminder of like, hey, whatever you were doing, it wasn't really that important. Like take a little break, but it's lovely out here. I feel like moving here, I have added years to my life. Like that's one of those things. And that's what I want for my parents too. And I feel like a lot of people could benefit from slowing down and getting out of like all the political madness and the news and everything. I just feel like here it's just a much healthier lifestyle.
I agree. I mean, you lived in the Central Valley for quite some years as well, in Escazú, and also now I've lived in Coca for a couple of years as well. I mean, how would you say that life differs from the Central Valley to the beach?
I feel like one of the biggest things, one of the biggest things is traffic.
Yeah.
Wow, is traffic a serious thing in the Central Valley? And it is more hustle bustle and it is more city and there are buses everywhere and, people running around. Whereas here, like I was sitting at a stop sign a few days ago for, I don't know, 90 seconds or something. And there were like 4 cars lined up. And I was laughing with my husband saying like, oh, look, there's traffic. That's our little traffic for the day. Because here it's totally laid back. Nobody's in a hurry to do anything, which can be a good thing and a bad thing, depending on if you need something done. But yeah, there are a lot of travelers, a lot of a large international influence out here. I mean, different kinds of food. You hear a lot of different languages, a lot of just expats or tourists, travelers, people out on horseback, people doing snorkeling tours, ATVs and stuff like that. Whereas in the Central Valley, it is more a little bit like business, school, and much more stressful, in my opinion. Like it's just very crowded. And yeah, it didn't take me long to get used to the beach life. For sure.
Nice. Mm-hmm. I mean, a lot of people that I speak to that are looking to relocate, are like, hey, I'm worried about finding friends, community, my kids finding friends. I mean, how difficult do you think it is to make friends and create a community at the beach?
It's easy. I mean, it's easy to make friends at the beach because there are kids out. I mean, the kids here, a lot of people are more like kind of that free range parenting style out here. I mean, they really do let their kids go run around. All you got to do is sit at the beach for 20 minutes and there will likely be some kids that come over and start rolling down the hill with your kid or whatever, or start playing in the sand. I feel like people here are super friendly, and it seems like they kind of look out for kids in a different way too. Like there's sort of a known parental, like, hey, your kid, hey, like, oh, hey, let's walk back over here, to the park. It's a bunch of mama hens running around, taking care of the kiddos. But there are schools and there are daycares and there are programs and like swim lessons and dance lessons and all sorts of things. And oddly enough, you might find that like your kid is going to dance lessons with the man who developed LinkedIn, or, somebody who's living over in Papagayo. And it's like, what? I never would have imagined that, there are like some very big hitters living out here, living this new lifestyle. And then you happen to run in with them with your kids. So, but it's cool. And then San Jose is even easier, I feel like, to make friends and be in different schools and programs and so forth. We're looking for like horseback riding out here. Oddly enough, I can't find anybody who offers horseback riding. So it's like in San Jose, it's just everywhere, you just go and do it. So, but it just depends on the kind of lifestyle I think you want your kids to live. I feel like in San Jose, there are many like tribes of mothers that get together, as you know, that kind of do things. And that is something that you definitely have more access to in San Jose than you do out here.
But I don't think anybody should ever be worried about finding friends and their kid finding friends and creating community at the beach, because everybody's looking for that. Everyone's looking for that.
Yeah. Well, and I think that comes down to the whole family unit here too. And like village and the community. People are much more friendly here than I feel like they are in the US, where everybody's in their separate home and they might not even know their neighbor. Whereas here, like you do, you definitely know your neighbor. You see them, you walk, you say good morning, and if you need to borrow anything or whatever, it's very friendly community. So I think you're right.
I can't keep my neighbors out my house, to be honest with you. I mean, my door's like a revolving door, and one of my neighbors got a bar in his house, and all the neighbors go over there on Friday. And I think community is very strong still here in Costa Rica. And I think that in the Western world, that's what we've lost, and it's eroded. Because unfortunately, I know every single one of my 60 neighbors. So yeah. But anyway, I mean, a lot. You mentioned the car earlier. And people are like, hey, I'm going to come down there and buy my big, Ford Raptor or, something like that. I mean, what would you suggest people buy when they move down here, and why?
First car, something a little more like a beater. Especially if you're going to be living out at the beach, you don't want to spend a whole lot of money on a super fancy car, because getting parts and doing repairs and things like that can be really tough here. Cars are expensive here too, like considerably more expensive than what you would pay for something in the US. And so I would say something, I don't know, it could be like a Pathfinder or one of those big Suzukis or something that can handle.
You're staying like Asian cars though, right? Mitsubishi, Hyundai, Nissan.
Yeah, you can get parts are much cheaper for those kinds of vehicles here versus US made cars, definitely 100%. And inevitably, you're gonna kind of mess it up. Like these roads are not for just driving down with no issues. You do, there are potholes. And you kind of want to go off-roading. Like you do want to go to these places and you want to go see that hidden beach and you want to go find that waterfall. And in order to do those things, you do have to be prepared to go off-road a little bit, and you might get some dings along the way. So I would just say a used vehicle and something that you're not going to be too upset if you get a dent in the car.
Well, and also I think something to be aware of, nobody cares what car you drive here.
Oh, they don't.
Like if you drive around in a Porsche, they're like, you're an idiot. You're an idiot.
Yeah.
That's a city. That's a city. Someone coming from the city.
Yes, absolutely. It's so true.
No offense to Porsche drivers in Costa Rica, of course.
But you know that like, oh, that person obviously does not care at all about money. And those cars are more likely to be like vandalized or things like that, somebody being like, oh, who is this kind of a deal but yeah, having a car that doesn't look like it has much in it is probably a good thing.
Yeah. I mean, what do you think of we've covered some of this anyway, but do you think there's anything else of like why Costa Rica may be a better place to bring up a family than the US? I mean, we've mentioned community. A lot of people have questions about schooling, Anastasia, like, is the schooling as good down here? What's your viewpoint on that?
So I would say with regards to schools, there's some excellent schools down here.
Yep.
And so like over in my neck of the woods, there's Lakeside, there's Delfines, we have internationally accredited schools, like we have CRIA, which is the Costa Rican International Academy. We've got La Paz, we've got the Christian Academy over in Liberia, Earth University opened up a new city over here. So there are a lot of options, and there are a lot of like outdoors classrooms and like, real life learning, project-based learning, things like that go on that aren't happening in the United States. Like it's not mandatory that every kid have a tablet down here. And so I think that it's just it's kind of like going back in time a little bit, but with new knowledge about what kids need and how kids thrive. And I think people are really concerned about the mental health of kids too, because they see what's happening in other countries. They see some of these problems that are coming up with so much technology. And they're like, well, we don't really want to do that. We want to enrich these kids with different ways, and we want them to have community. I think that is super important in schools here. So I feel like there's a lot of opportunity. You might want to supplement here and there with other programs, extracurricular kind of activities, but overall, I've been impressed with what I've seen in terms of schools here. But yeah, and then other things that people probably worry about with a family is like, having healthcare, having access if you've got an emergency. I feel like we have excellent care. Like I walk to my dentist's office from my house, and it's excellent care and it's super cheap. We have a large hospital, US style hospital in Liberia, which is like 35 minutes away. We have clinics down here. Like you can get care, different levels of care. Obviously, if you need something pretty serious, San Jose is the way to go because they just have the best. The Children's Hospital in San Jose is like world renowned. I mean, it's very well known, excellent care. So I think in terms of all of those things, and another big thing is just like health, physical health, and your access to outdoor activities and good food, like food that tastes like food. Tastes like it was grown in the ground, and it really is like that instead of this sort of plasticky, I don't know, it's beautiful, brightly colored, but it doesn't really have a lot of flavor to it.
Space food.
Yeah, there you go.
Definitely.
So for all of those reasons, I feel like it is an excellent place to raise kids. And I do like the fact that for my son, we have the option to go to the US, right? Like we aren't stuck here. We can travel. There are flights everywhere. Right. Costa Rica is also really lucky in that, is that you can easily jet out to just about anywhere in the world if you want to take your kid and expose them to something else, whether that's in the US or in Europe or in South America. So yeah, I think it's an awesome place to raise a family. I'm looking forward to perhaps extending our family a little bit, growing the family a little bit, and then, being able to talk even more about it. Because right now he'll be 3 soon, but we're getting into the fun stuff.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, I'm biased as well, but I think Costa Rica offers all the options. I don't really think anybody should be really worried about moving here. I think it's, again, you've just got to, if you've not been here before, come and visit, for a longer period of time and really figure out, whether you like it or not. And different areas of Costa Rica offer different things. I mean, Ojochal, Uvita down south is different than Jaco Eladura, which is different than Santa Teresa Nosara, which is different than Tamarindo, Flamingo Grande, and Playas del Coco and Hermosa. Like, they're very different communities.
Absolutely. Very diverse. So. And getting in on those Facebook groups is another good way to find out. There's like Tamarindo Chit Chat, Coco Chit Chat, Capos Chit Chat. Those, I find those to be very, very helpful in terms of looking for and gaining a sense of the community.
Yeah, definitely. And I always like to ask people, but I just wanted to, there's a lot of developing beach towns here in Costa Rica and not the main ones. But I mean, over the next 5 to 10 years, what do you think of those beach towns that are really going to begin to develop that aren't as developed at the moment?
I think that Nosara, I think that Santa Teresa is going to boom. I mean, it's already booming. They don't have that much more land that they can use, but I do think that it's going to continue to grow. So that, Nosara Guillones, possibly Potrero.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Potrero is really taking off. They have a water issue at the moment, so it's not going to, they can't build that much more anymore. But yeah, I mean, it's amazing that when you look at stuff that like everything is based on water availability.
Right. Yeah, it is.
We have tons of water here, but they do that's how they kind of control the development of beach towns is by not giving them too much water availability. And that's how they do it, so it's kind of more of
that land's so cheap. When you see really cheap land, it's like, oh, you're not going to have water for 8 years or whatever. So yeah, absolutely. But I think also the southern zone is another just booming area, that Uvita, Ojochal, Dominical. And that's a lovely area. The people are very interesting down there. And I think health and wellness, mindfulness,
yes,
outdoor.
It's a big part to play.
Yeah. It's a whole other world down there versus what it is up here, which is beautiful and interesting. And I think it's a great place for kids to grow up as well. My issue with that area is that the nearest hospital is like kind of far away, and getting to the airport, that's another thing, is like, I want to be close to an airport. So but we'll see if they ever get another airport built down there. They keep talking about it.
I don't think they'll get the airport done anytime soon, but yeah, I mean, it's a 3.5 hour drive from San Jose, or Quepos is which is like 45 minutes away, is your nearest airport, and also nearest hospital. But I like to say it's horses for courses, different horses for different race courses. It's different people for different beach areas in Costa Rica. And you just have to, that's why you've got to come down here and see it, to be like, that's not for me. I mean, it's like, you'll know instantly. You'll get to an area and be like, yeah, this is it. Or they'll be like, no, this is not me. This is just not me, so. Yeah, exactly. Anastasia, my last question for you. If you inherited $500,000 and had to invest it into a business or real estate in Costa Rica, what would you invest it in?
Oh dear. I think that I would do something that is not a high rise, something that maybe has like a couple of units, just a few units there, and I would rent it out as an Airbnb. I would probably look maybe around Flamingo or Uvita. I think either one of those areas, they're not too big. They have beautiful ocean views, and they're places that people aren't like afraid to go. I feel like sometimes people are a little concerned about going way far out of the way, but I feel like those ones are far enough out of the way, but still close enough that you have creature comforts, and it doesn't feel like you're going into the bush.
I think that's smart. You'd make good returns for that, for sure. On either of those options. But well, Anastasia, really appreciate your time for coming on the podcast today. Anyone want to contact Anastasia? She does do planned vacations, luxury vacations here in Costa Rica. So anybody looking to vacation in Costa Rica, I'll put our email address in the description, and you can reach out and contact her. But really appreciate your time, Anastasia.
Thanks, Richard. Always lovely chatting with you.
Have a great day.
All right, you too.
Bye. Great podcast there from Anastasia. I think anybody looking to relocate and live here in Costa Rica, I think that's gives you a very clear picture of what life may be like living down here, and also is again a lot of the concerns that people have living down here. I think it's important to come down here and stay for a while or explore it. We're actually going out with a couple of clients in the next couple of days just to really explore Costa Rica and kind of show them what's available, where they can live, and also kind of what behind the curtains look at these areas. Because sometimes, if you go to these areas, you kind of really get to see the tourist view, whereas we like to really give people kind of the idea of what living in these areas may be like, and kind of what the locals do, where they go, the hidden kind of gems in the area where you go shopping, all these kind of things. So but anyone that wants to reach out to us, they can. info@investing Costa Rica. That's info@investing Costa Rica. That was episode 97. We'll be releasing, I'd probably say episode 100, probably mid to late July here, guys. So very, very exciting. But thanks for everyone for your support, for reaching out. And again, if you just want to say hi, feel free to. You can email us. We'd love to hear from you guys. If there's anything you'd like us to cover as well, we're more than happy to get somebody on the podcast here to cover that. So appreciate it, and have a great weekend.